перекладач скаже. Ще якраз, будь ласка, кілька слів про ревета Су.
Отче наш, що єси на небесах, нехай святиться ім'я Твоє, нехай прийде царство Твоє, нехай буде воля Твоя, як на небі, так і на землі. Хліб наш щоденний дай нам сьогодні, і нам провину нашу, як ми прощаємо винуватцям нашим. І не веди нас у спокусу, але визволи нас від лукавого.
Remember when we were all on the buses and we had to go to a washroom and they had us go out in a field, and it was horrific.
Well,
Horrific.
it was in Rovno or Rivne. It was we went to the bus depot and we asked where the
Yeah.
washroom was, and they pointed, and so it was like a garage in the middle of the
Yes.
field. There were no lights. It was just a grates. So there was a
Yes.
pit. You came in and
Yes.
you stood on grates and
Yeah.
just did your business on top of the grates. And some people couldn't stand that, and we're going to the washroom in the bushes.
We're now going through the forest, which was planted here in 1953. I don't know if you've been to Shevchenko Park, I guess some of you.
So following up on Christine's comment that Ben had pretty well assured her safety, he would be taking care of it. We were taking the bus to Lviv, and I was sitting in the front bench right behind the driver with Ben. And a couple hours into this trip, bus driver reached up, took something down, took the cap off, took a little swig, put it back up. Ben says to me, "Tommy, did you just see what I just saw?" I said, "I didn't see anything, Ben." He says, "Neither did I." I just took a mouthful of vodka and driving the bus.
But I remember them shutting off the bus on the hills. Shut off the bus, and then just loud, yeah. And then at the bottom, pop the clutch and the motor would start. That I remember.
Fierce battles took place here in this part of this land, and all villages, all houses which stood here were destroyed. When the reconstruction of our city started, we decided not to stand square. And now you see the houses which were the first built in this part of the city. Please turn to your left and to your right. Okay, I don't know. Do you know how people can get houses or apartments in this country?
During one of our bus trips between locations, I happened to notice in the rearview mirror that our bus driver was slowly closing his eyes and then would wake up. And then I thought, perhaps this is just a one-time only. And then I saw sometime later he was closing his eyes and falling asleep. Well, I thought there's a whole bunch of us on this bus. There's safety concerns. So I spoke to Ben and I said, "Ben, watch him. He's falling asleep. We don't want to be a statistic in Ukraine because the driver fell asleep at the wheel."
the cemetery. Look at it.
Get up tomorrow at 7.
What's that?
Get up at 7 and go walk.
Cloudy. Shit, I might have to set it walking around.
Workshopping with Videoka, professional dance company, giving their time and energy to an amateur company in an intense atmosphere of hard work. The receptions after every performance that we did in Lviv and Ternopil, seeing people meeting their relatives that they had never seen before in their lives and probably won't again. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. It was very moving.
Julie, tell me about your experience meeting your relatives in Ukraine.
That is where the overwhelming dipped into a bit of the negative for me. Bearing witness to poverty, bearing witness to their struggles. So that was heavy on my heart. And, you know, of course, like many, having the pictures taken, and I'm the only one smiling in the group, right?
Yeah.
Of the family. And then coming home, and here's the third time I saw my father emotional. I'd shown him the photographs once they were all available to him. And I saw him go into the backyard, and his back was towards the window, and I could see his shoulders moving. So I knew he was crying. So that was overwhelming, but a painful one.
So are we talking about brothers and sisters? Like how close is the connection?
His two remaining sisters,
Okay.
came, and their family. And I met a cousin and his little girl. And yeah.
So I'm guessing he hadn't seen them since
He
leaving.
hadn't seen,
Okay,
no.
so this,
He wrote, and then after his passing, my mom and the remaining sister, one passed away, they wrote until she passed away.
yeah.
So it was an incredible, I think, again, double edge for my dad.
Yeah.
The joy of seeing them through my eyes, and then knowing they were still there.
That's right. A few chances to meet family. The first was in Keio, where I met my dad's cousin's daughter, who was the same age as me. And she came with a friend, and Merv was my roommate. So we were just finishing supper, so, we invited them up to our room so we could chat and get to know each other a little better. She would not talk in our room. Not on.
Okay.
So we went for a walk. Couldn't shut her up. It was fantastic. I remember asking her if she had any, rock bands or anything she liked, and she's, yeah, Boniem. Rah, Rasputin. Later on, we were in Ternopil, and I met her mother and father and her baba, who was my Dido's sister. And just to give you another example of how the communist system worked, I think our performance was like 2 p.m. on a Wednesday to make it, as difficult as possible for anybody who's working to be going to the show. But they were there. They came in the night before, and they watched the show, and I asked afterwards, her father, did you have to take vacation for this? Did you have to get time off from work to do this? He looked at me and says, in this country, they pretend to pay us, we pretend to work. That's the communist system.
I had been writing to my family in Ukraine since I was little, and we would be sending these letters to my Dido and everyone and cousins, and then when we found out that we were actually going there, my mama and I cried.
Yeah, for sure.
In the kuchnia, and she couldn't believe that we were actually going there. So she goes, okay, we have to start writing letters. What do they need?
Right.
What do we bring them? Like, what do they want? And I started collecting things at the pharmacy. I worked at White Cross drugstore, and I told our pharmacist who owned the drugstore that I'm going to Ukraine, and I need some time off. And can I buy some things, little cheaper? And he gave me 50 to 75% off on anything I wanted to bring there.
Nice, yeah.
Bubblegum, whole peppers, because they were selling whole, insane. Anyways, I do remember that, and it was very special. And we had suitcases packed with stuff, mostly of stuff to bring for family.
Yeah, good thing.
And when we got to Ukraine and we spoke Ukrainian, my Dido said, ми думали, що Стевка брехала. Що ви не розумієте по-українськи говорити.
Як то має бути, yeah.
Yeah, and they were just stunned that we were speaking Ukrainian. Although he said mine was a little bit more on the Polish side.
Yeah, we heard that a lot, yeah.
Anyways, that was one of the first beautiful moments of just meeting for the first and last time my Dido, but just seeing cousins and that look like us, we didn't have that here, And my mom's sisters, like she was my mom.
Right.
It was like a twin.
Yeah.
You know, except she looked older than my mom and she was 10 years younger. But just being with them and just holding on to them and the connection we had meeting in Kiev, because we weren't expecting them there, and saying, I don't know who it was, said, Hanya, your family is here. I said, no.
What? Yeah.
Yeah,
we don't expect them to turn up.
Yeah. And I said, no. And I came down that beautiful staircase, and they're all standing there, and I was just stunned. And we opened up some champanska that my Wiko brought, and had a little celebration. And just, we don't have family here, so that was huge to us.
Right.
Huge to us. And sitting there in the restaurant and just celebrating our time together and sharing stories and, everything about our lives. What do you mean? You want to teach in a Ukrainian bilingual program? What do you mean?
That's extra, yeah.
Ukrainian? English? They teach that?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I wasn't teaching yet, but it was, that's where I was headed.
Український народний жартівливий танець «Чапани» виконує ансамбль танцю «Камінчанка», керівник Орес П'єтний.
town by bus. And we got off the bus, and I can remember seeing relatives. There was a couple of relatives for sure that I recognized because they were my dad's sister's boys. So I recognized them, but there must have been like 40 others that were there. And the reason that there was so many of them was one of my dad's sister's son that was there. His job was hauling produce. So he had a big flatbed truck, loaded all of the family on, came out to Ternopil, and got to visit with them. And that evening, because they stayed around for a while, and then that evening they were asking, well, do you want to come out to the village and see the place where your dad was born? So, and I did go, but I didn't. This was very risky,
right,
at that time. Yeah. So I didn't tell Ben. I just told my roommates at that time, listen, if I don't come back, you know where I am, where I am with my relatives. So yeah, I did end up going with them that night. They actually gave me some like a coat and a hat to wear, so I looked like tourist, one of the locals, I guess, going home. So we drove for about a half an hour because it was pretty close to Ternopil that my dad's family was from. So rode home, then spent the whole evening and through the night visiting with my relatives. They got me back just in the morning time so that I was back with the group again by the morning time. But what a wonderful experience! I got to see the home where my dad was born, and all the relatives were there. Very simple home, like mud floor for most of the place that was there. So, but what an experience that was for me.
Nice. I got to meet my mom's cousin's kids, but they were older, like two sisters, probably mid to late 30s. And they gave to me a cane, beautiful Ukrainian carved cane for when I'm older. And they gave a wedding band, that pink gold, for when you get married. You can wear it or give it. And then they pulled out an envelope stuffed with Canadian money, but the old Canadian money, like the green 20s and the blue 5s, like from when we were growing up, right? And I'm just like, what gives? Well, my Baba had been sending cash for years, and it's just stuffed. And I had John Shevchenko as my translator, because I'm not a lick of Ukrainian. Yeah. They knew nothing. They were from Odessa. They made their way up to meet me. So they stayed at a hotel just near where we were staying. So we spent a whole day together, and then the next day they were waiting for me outside again in the morning, and John and I went with them, and they wanted to go to this Kashtan store, right? And use this money. Right. So, and I said, well, do you mind if I swap that money for new Canadian money? Because I collect coins, right? So, and they're like, yeah, no problem. So I gave them the equal value in the new bills. To this day, I still have those bills in my money and coin collection. But they could come in the store if they were with somebody. Right. Yes. So they came in, and I'm like, okay, what are they going to... It's their money, and I had money as well that I could throw in and pitch in for them. Bras, panties, pants, socks.
And that was just for the men?
Exactly. Toothpaste, toothbrushes, hairbrushes, like your basic stuff. And I'm like 19 years old, and the things are like, that just look good, sure, and all these different colored bras and panty sets, and it was hilarious. So John and I had a really good laugh. But they left there, we kicked in extra money for them. They left there with full arms full of stuff. They were so happy.
Performing in front of them in Ukraine, under the Soviet regime was just remarkable. I was so excited to be on the stage as a Rusalka dancer. There was so much pride and excitement being on that stage because you had your friends on that stage, family on that stage. Just real pride being able to do that.
We went to Ukraine, and of course, they've seen the best in Ukraine. But when they saw this group, they couldn't believe that a group from Canada could come with this kind of performance. And they were quite taken by it.
The group also had the opportunity to study with the Videoka Ukrainian Dance Ensemble of Kyiv. The knowledge gained from this professional group proved invaluable to Rusalka, and the tour became a benchmark in their development.
Okay, this is a very emotional part of the trip to Ukraine, was coming face to face with our relatives, and in my case, in our case, it was on my mother's side.
Yep.
Right? A number of meetings that took place between us and our relatives. And one meeting was.
But we're talking like sisters, right? Like your mom's.
Yes.
So it's that close. These are your aunts.
And my aunts,
yeah.
Cousins,
yeah.
Right? And my Dido Andri.
Right.
So I remember he pulled up in front of the hotel we were staying at. Initially, a part of our family met us in Kyiv. My uncle Miron, that's my namesake, right? They met us in Kyiv, but Dido, I'm pretty sure then met us in.
Yeah.
He's in the vehicle. We went to greet him at the car, and he got out of the car, and he was like immaculately dressed. I remember in kind of like a black suit, these shiny black boots. And, you know, you looked at him, and I remember seeing a photograph of him that our parents showed us. And, of course, we both broke into tears, and I didn't know what to say to him. Like, what do you say to your grandfather?
You've never met, you've never seen before.
Never seen before, and here you are face to face with him. And he just looked at me and said, "'Tis Marniusa." And
What?
I'm like, what? So I guess he saw some photograph of us,
yeah,
and thought that, I don't know, I had lost weight or something, which I probably did, because we were dancing very intensely, so
yeah.
Who knows what we looked like
Yeah.
compared to, to what they saw in photographs or whatever. So yeah, that's how the conversation started, was, "'Tis Marniusa," and I told him, I don't know, you're looking pretty good. And then and then after that, we met somewhere. They wouldn't let us into the hotels. Well, in Lviv, I think it was a little bit different. I think it was more Western oriented, so we were, I think, they were a little bit more lax with visitations in Lviv as compared to what Kyiv was like. Because in Kyiv, there was no way that any relative was going to step into the Dnipro hotel,
right,
where we were staying at.
Yeah.
So in Kyiv, we did our gift exchanging and so on in a bus, parked somewhere clandestinely away from the hotel, and we were all gathered inside the bus doing our gift exchanging. Whatever we took with us. I don't know. It was jeans and articles of clothing and some belts. I think gum, right? Cigarettes. Yeah. Stuff that we were able to bring through customs in Moscow, but of course you kind of had to bribe the guard who was going through your suitcase and shoving a pack of cigarettes in front of his face, and here it's for you, right? So yeah, the gift exchange was really weird. It was, that's what you were confronted with, so that's what you had to do. And of course, it was an educational experience for us, because here we are, really experiencing firsthand what life was kind of like
In the
living
Soviet system.
in a communist state, right? Like everybody was so secretive, and you had to be careful of who you were meeting, what you were saying,
who was around.
Yeah, because we were constantly being monitored in one way or another. You know, either being bugged in the hotel or being followed on the streets by, it was, a real educational experience, for us. Another story is, so we have this gift exchange, and I pulled out, so some the dancers brought Bibles with them because we knew that a lot of people in Ukraine wanted Bibles, and I brought with me a whole bunch of about 6 or 7 copies of this Zaspivajmo Sobi, right? Like let's sing for ourselves. But if you're familiar with this songbook, you'll know that there's all kinds of nationalistic songs in the book, like Oi Luzi, right? Zapovid, Shevchenko versus Zapovid, Dume Moi. There's Kolyade in there. There's songs by Ivasiuk, Chervona Ruta, Vodoraj. These are all very nationalistic, patriotic songs. So I pulled out one of these out of our little gift suitcase and asked if anybody in the family was interested, and everybody just kind of had these blank stares. So I thought, oh, great. Well, I brought these 6 books for nothing. Yeah. Put them back into the suitcase. The next day I met up with my cousin Oleg, and he came over to me and said, той співник, що ти приніс. Ще маєш з собою? Like, do you have that songbook that you showed us yesterday? And I said, yeah. He says, can you give it to me? Yeah. And I said, well, sure. That's why I brought them.
But they were even hesitant in the group?
Yeah. Like nobody just gave you this blank stare and
couldn't even trust each other. Yeah. Who's going to turn me in?
We don't want to see it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but he made sure that we were just the 2 of us. And he asked me about the book, and I said, well, what are you going to do with the book? And he said, I want you to understand, and this was a real eye-opener for me, and again, chalk it up as an educational experience. He said, I belong to this Hurtok, this group, and we meet once a week, and we all carry a communist membership card. But I want you to know that we're not communists. That the card is our entrance to public buildings like libraries and so on. And he said that's the only reason why we have these cards, so we can get into these buildings that otherwise would be closed to us. Yep. And he said what's going to happen is when we meet in our group, everyone's going to go through the songbook, and anybody who's interested in copying out the words to any of the songs, that's what they're going to do.
Like dictation.
A dictation. Wow. And then they'll just pass it on to the next person and, and so on. And I thought, this is what life is like living in a communist state, where you've got total censorship of Ukrainian materials that are that is the heart and soul of Ukraine.
Right.